Crime is on the rise and terrorism has become an everyday threat to everybody. The police are undermanned, underpaid and under-equipped, permanently under pressure. Any help from anywhere would surely be appreciated. Into the fray step Neighbourhood Watch! High-end backup to our frontline services tackling top-level crime, or a bunch of cardigan-wearing, Morris-dancing busybodies involving themselves in other people's affairs. Which are they? When I went to meet a Neighbourhood Watch coordinator in East London this week, she told me that they were not about tackling people on the street, but more about creating an aware environment. And she and her fellow residents felt safer for their efforts. I'm all for community spirit, and I'm happy to see people keeping an eye out for each other, as long as this never escalates to the point that they become vigilante, or people try and bite off more than they can chew. Then long may the curtain twitching continue.
You make me jump out my skin when you do your military voice. And can you imagine if you was a bit of a tea leaf or something and you was like peeking round the estate and then all of a sudden... I'd be like, oh, sorry. I'd be absolutely terrified. So if you're not in Neighbourhood Watch, you should consider signing up because you'd be a great deterrent for anyone.
Or a bouncer.
Yeah.
No, I'm not doing that.
But joking aside, I very much agree with you, and I think that one of our problems at the moment is that we have a real lack of society and community. And I feel like we operate so often as individuals as opposed to a collective. So when you think about it, and Nick's about to spontaneously combust because he clearly disagrees with me, but when you think about it, you used to have people being brought together by things like religion. That was their common kind of community, and we're having that less and less now. And when you look at a lot of estates, people are renting properties and neighbours are changing frequently. And, you know, even up north, like where it used to be that you did know, well, like in Hull, you did know your neighbours, and in London, you know, less so because it was a lot of renting and changing and transients. I've noticed in Hull, people less and less are knowing who their neighbours are, and people are coming and going. So actually, I applaud anything that gives back and creates and enhances and encourages a set of community and society and brings people together for the greater good.
Absolutely.
I'm not a member of
Can I just show you? Can I just show you what? Look, I met this really nice girl, Bex. Right? Let's have a look at what she's got to say. So I've come into Walthamstow to have a butcher's at what's actually going on at the sharp end. And this is a product of Neighbourhood Watch. Have a chat with this lady here.
Hi there, my name's Bex and I'm the street coordinator for a local Neighbourhood Watch scheme in Walthamstow.
What help and support do you get from the police? Do they advocate what you do? Do they work hand in hand with you? What can you expect?
With Neighbourhood Watch, they start off giving you quite minimal support. They tell you the Neighbourhood Watch and the way you run it is up to you, because obviously nationwide it's very different. What might be interesting for a Neighbourhood Watch in rural countryside, i.e. a quad bike might go missing or some livery from a stable might go astray. Here is other problems. Inner cities have their own set of significant problems. The aim of my particular Neighbourhood Watch is to just bring people together, to say hello on the street, to make it clear that you can knock on someone's door if you find yourself in any sort of trouble, or even if you just want to borrow half a cup of sugar.
So, before you tear me a new one, Nick, all right, if that woman feels safer for what she's doing, and a few other people do as well, or quite a few other people do, you know, in her case, then it's got to be a good thing.
I'm going to defer to my new best pal, Afua.
Because Michelle, I completely agree with you, by the way, has just made the most powerful case for everything that Margaret Thatcher, who we talked about earlier, did to destroy...
I've changed my mind. I withdraw.
Every single one of the things you described. So, a destruction of community, lack of social cohesion, privatisation, the decline of social housing, and then the privatisation of key parts of security that used to belong to the state and the police, now in the hands of private home ownership-based community groups. This isn't a substitute for society or community, and this is what Margaret Thatcher did. Neighbourhood Watch is a response to a decline of community that masquerades as some kind of community. It's rooted in home ownership. This is a classic example of what Thatcher did. And by the way, it was under Margaret Thatcher. It was under Margaret Thatcher that Neighbourhood Watch dramatically increased. And Douglas Hurd also talked about it as a return to Victorian values. You know, this is exactly what I'm talking about when I say how Margaret Thatcher, it was her policies that destroyed the kind of communities you're describing. And that's why we need Neighbourhood Watch. And it's no substitute for having real communities and policing.
And I want to bring us more up to date with a more recent Conservative. I was with you. Of course, Neighbourhood Watch is a good idea. And good luck to Bex and all the others. Actually, my house is in a Neighbourhood Watch area, and I think I might even get money off my insurance as a result. So fantastic. Good luck to them. Very, very good people. But my concern was you started to get a bit big society there, a bit sort of David Cameron, to come to a more recent Conservative Prime Minister. And that is where I think he lost... Well, what was the idea? What was the big society meant absolutely nothing. It's a load of words that delivered nothing. Neighbourhood Watch do things. Good for Bex and her colleagues walking the streets of Hackney, East London, wherever it is. Fantastic. Big society. I don't quite know where you want to go.
Well, I would
big society was shocking.
But what I would say is, before, because I know Rachel's wants to come in too. So Big Society and all that hug a hoodie or whatever it was, that was implemented poorly. But at the end of the day, when you look now, you've got all of these kids roaming around on mopeds, waving knives, guns, because there's no recourse, and people are afraid to tackle them as individuals. Which individual is going to go and tackle this guy on a moped? You're not. But if there was a collective of you and you knew that you would tackle this together, then those idiots on these mopeds, they wouldn't be doing what they're doing. I don't know how you can disagree with that. You look like you furiously disagree.
Well, let's let Rachel.
I don't think that we're talking about Neighbourhood Watch and policing as if they're either or. They're not. They're complementary to each other. And it's just, to me, it's common sense. It's like when you have the sign on the tube that says, if that's not your bag, you know, report it, see it, say it's sorted. It's just part of a general awareness that, you know, we all have to look out for each other. And it is about terrorism. You're right. Let's have a quick look at an ad that has been put out about counter-terrorism. I mean, I wasn't sure what we were supposed to find suspicious in the man in the DIY shop, but now they are closing. They are closing bricks and mortar police stations hand over fist.
That's true.
So it does behove the public to report online or to wherever they can suspicious behaviour.
Rachel, the important, you've just summed up the important part there for me.
Yeah.
You might not get what someone's looking for coming out of there, but it can sometimes be the very smallest details that's the final piece in the puzzle. Do you know what I mean? So anything that you think is out of place is worth throwing up the chain of command, and that's what these people do.
Are you in your local neighbourhood watch?
Do you know what? We don't even have one. I've never been approached by anybody. No one's, and I wouldn't know, you know.
Because is anyone? Because I'm not. I
reported what I thought was, it's an embarrassing story actually. I reported what I thought was a burglary to my downstairs neighbours the other day. I live in an area where there's been a lot of crime and people do report it and they do talk to each other, and of course that's good. And we all want to live in.
Hold on.
Okay, so my neighbours invited me to their wedding. And I went, and it was lovely, in Germany. And I came back, and they were still there. And then that night, I heard people entering their flats.
Right.
So I called the police. And the police came around. They were amazing. They came around straight away. They brought dogs. They brought reinforcement. They basically broke in the door. And my neighbours were there in their pyjamas, having just got back from their wedding early.
Can I tell us? We've been burgled repeatedly in Notting Hill. And actually, the community has now pays. I don't actually, because it's a very rich street around the corner. Pays for a van just to go round and round all night.
That's the next stage, Rachel, is that the people will actually pay private security companies to come and do a job, come and bring dogs, come and respond to alarms, come and use technology.
But can I just say, somebody buzzed a brick through our window, and my husband is a very messy man, and I said they burgled my husband's study, and my mother said, how could you tell?
Well, we're talking about policing. We do need to tell you, the Home Office have told us the following. On Tuesday, Parliament approved a significant settlement that includes the biggest increase in police funding since 2010. We're providing total funding of up to £14 billion, an increase of up to £970 million compared to 2018-19. This settlement recognises the demands on the police and would enable forces to meet financial pressures while also recruiting more officers. Which doesn't mean, as you rightly say, you should do your bit if you can, of course. You should take that on board.
OK, everyone, now before we go, there's just time for this. Brexit is less than 2 months away. There's still no deal. We need all sides to come together and work to find a way through. But unfortunately, that doesn't exactly seem to be happening. This is what Donald Tusk, the president of the EU Council, said this week.
I've been wondering what that special place in hell looks like for those who promoted Brexit without even a sketch of a plan how to carry it safely.
But never one's to be outdone. This is what Sammy Wilson, the DUP's Brexit spokesman, said in response. This devilish Euro maniac is doing his best to keep the United Kingdom bound by the chains of EU bureaucracy and control. All he will succeed in doing is stiffening the resistance of those who have exercised their choice to be clear of Tusk and his trident-wielding cabal. So it seems the politicians don't want to come together, but we decided we'll rise above that. And in a spirit of friendship and unity, we are awarding a joint Straight Talker of the Week award to both Donald Tusk and Sammy Wilson. Well, we give as good as we get, don't we, Nick?
I think we could welcome those two to this panel. I think they do quite well on a good day. If Carol Malone's not around, we'll get them in. What do you reckon? I think it's terrible, that language. This is the time
on both sides?
Yeah, of course. This is time for cool heads, calm heads and cool words, and we didn't see either.
That's just stand-up rhetoric there.
I just think it's embarrassing and unprofessional, and everyone involved just needs to proceed in a grown-up fashion.
Yeah, that gets nowhere.
We have ended on a spirit of grown-up unity, and that's all we have time for this week. But don't forget, you can join in the debate by searching for The Pledge on Facebook or Twitter. See you next time.